Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Mankind, about 140,000 years old. Let me put that in perspective. If you condense the Earth's lifespan into 24 hours, that's one full day, then we have been here on this planet for, drum roll please, 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And look what we've done. We have modestly named ourselves Homo sapiens, meaning wise man. But is man really so wise? Smart, yes, and it's good to be smart, but not too smart for your own good. Yes, we have split the atom. Yes, we build clever machines that navigate the universe in search of new homes, but at the same time, those atoms we split created nuclear warfare. In our quest to explore the galaxy, rejects and neglects the home that we have here now, so no, that cannot be wisdom. Wisdom is different. While intelligence speaks, wisdom listens, and we willingly covered our ears to Mother Nature's screams and closed our eyes to all of her help-wanted signs. Wisdom knows that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so if we were wise, we would not be shocked when we see storms that are stronger than ever before, or more drought, hurricanes, and wildfire than ever before, because there's more pollution than ever before, more carbon, more trees cut down than ever before. At a record pace, we have increased the extinction of animals by 1,000 times the normal rate. What a feat. In the next 10 to 100 years, every beloved animal character in every children's book is predicted to go extinct. Lions gone, rhinos gone, tiger, gorilla, elephant, polar bear gone. In 3 seconds. Species that have been here longer than us will be gone because of us. In this 3 seconds. In an existence shorter than a Vine video, we turn the circle of life into our own personal conveyor belt. Somebody, anybody help. We were given so much, the only planet in this solar system with life. I mean, we are 1 in a million. No, actually, scientifically, we are 1 in a billion, trillion. That's a 1 followed by 33 zeros. And I don't want to get too spiritual, but how are we not a miracle? We are perfectly positioned to the sun so we don't burn, but not too distant so we don't turn to ice. Goldilocks said it best, we are just right. This paradise where we are given medicine from trees, not coincidentally, but because like the song says, we are family. Literally, everything, every species is connected genetically, from the sunflower to the sunfish. And this is what we must recognize before it's too late, because the real crisis is not global warming, environmental destruction, or animal agriculture. It is us. These problems are symptoms of us, byproducts of us. Our inner reflection, loss of connection has created this misdirection. We have forgotten that everything contributes to the perfection of Mother Nature. Corporations keep us unaware and disconnected, but they have underestimated our strength. Contrary to popular belief, millions are waking up out of their sleep, seeing our home being taken right up under our feet. We cannot allow our history to be written by the wicked, greedy, and loony. It is our duty to protect Mother Nature from those who refuse to see her beauty. Call me crazy, but I believe we should have the right to eat food that's safe, with ingredients we can pronounce, drink water that is clean, marvel at trees, breathe air free of toxins. These are natural rights, not things that can be bargained for in Congress. See, they want you to feel powerless, but it has been said that something as small as the flutter of a butterfly's wing can cause a typhoon halfway around the world. But when enough people come together, we too will make waves and wash the world into a new era filled with love and connection, freedom for all without oppression. But it is up to you, yes, you watching this behind this screen, to make the effort, because time is of the essence, and only together can we make it to the 4th second.
Okay. Okay, so just a little bit of food for thought to start off with. So welcome again, everybody. Now, we have 2 partners who will be talking today, but Dr. Dixon from RONAG actually needs to leave early. So before we even go into anything else for the meeting, I'd like to hand over to Dr. Dixon to do his presentation to start with. So, Dr. Dixon, can you hear me? I know we were speaking just now. Oh, I think, did he just drop off? Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. Okay. Okay, so I'll start my presentation. Hopefully Dr. Dixon may be able to join us. Just a second. Okay. Good. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah,
great.
good.
Can I just check? There's not like a window in front of the screen, because my Zoom window
is perfect.
Right now floating. Okay, fantastic. Please. So now I can't see who's here. So if Dr. Dixon comes back, then if someone could tell me. So let me just move. Okay, so welcome to the September online CCOP session. And this month's theme was localizing climate solutions through school and community projects. Hold on. There we go. Okay. For our ways of working, well, we've talked about this before, really. I mean, this session really is all about conversation and interaction. So I'll try and reduce my talking, and I really want to hear from everybody here. The WhatsApp group, I think, has been amazing to hear all the different experiences in different areas. There's a great deal of learning. So let's just try and keep that spirit of interaction, and everyone should feel free. No right or wrong answers. It's just great to hear all the different viewpoints and perspectives. If you haven't already, if you can just make sure that your Zoom name is your name, and maybe you could also include the organization name if you like, so we know who we all are, although we are going to do a bit of networking shortly. So sorry, I have to keep moving this thing around. Okay, so sorry, there was a very nice picture just here, photograph. I don't know what's happened to that. Sorry about that. Okay, so what we're going to cover today, we're going to add a little bit of networking, just a quick bit of networking to start off with, and then I'll just pull out some of the discussions that we saw in WhatsApp. As I said, we have we're hoping to have 2 partners spotlights, but it may just be the one from SYND, unless Dr. Dixon is there from RONAG. And then we'll go into breakout rooms for discussions on different aspects of our theme. We'll come back and bring all the information together, and then just a few announcements at the end of what are the next steps. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay, so yes, we did do introductions right at the very beginning when we first started the WhatsApp group. And of course, we do see the on the couch Fridays, where we hear about the different organizations. But sometimes it's nice to really put a face to the name and get to know ourselves a bit better. So we're going to just go into breakout rooms just for a few minutes, and just do a very brief networking. So just let us know, your name, organization. I always think it's quite useful to know where people are, whether you're in Accra, Tamale, somewhere else. Maybe an interesting fun fact about yourself. That's always quite interesting to hear. And then something that you've learned from the group so far, a particular, I don't know, maybe a particular insight, or just something maybe just made you think about something in a different way, just to find out what we're all getting out of the group. So if I could ask Kat to please breakout mistress.
Great. So it's in groups of 3, if that works.
Okay. I actually see right now how many.
Okay. I was just checking you wanted groups of 3. Yeah, they should have gone now.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Yes.
So everyone should have an invite. So Yolanda, you should be in room 3, and yeah, Yolanda in room 3, Sarah, you're room 1, and I'm jumping into room 2.
All right, good to be here. I don't know if anyone is going to join this room. It's going to be me and you.
It's me as
But it's
well.
a pleasure to
Hi.
meet on the call. Oh, wonderful. Kat is here. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you, Prince. Hi, Josephine.
Hello, Kat.
How is your day going so far?
So far so good.
I just got a train and I'm in a cafe readjusting. Very keen to make this session. Who wants to kick things off with our instructions? Prince, I nominate you.
All right. So yeah, we're just about starting, so it's good to have you here. So the first will be someone to start. So you tell, obviously we know the names, the organizations as well. So maybe location and then also your job role briefly. Yeah, so we can start with job roles briefly, and then we'll continue with the rest. Your job role, a fun fact, your key learning from the experience so far.
I think you should start us off, Prince.
Oh, I should. All right. Okay, so the name, obviously the name has not changed. It's Prince. I'm with EduSports. I'm head of leadership programs. I've been attempting to somehow show my face to pop at some point. Yeah. But yes, at EduSports, I do much more leadership around the volunteers we call catalysts. And the catalysts are the people who in the communities help us do what we do. That is empowering young children or young people in terms of education in the communities. I know at least Josephine, you know EduSport a little bit. So I'm doing much more the leadership bit, making sure that catalysts are really much more in tune with what we do, providing some training support for them in that regard. Yeah, so maybe briefly that fun fact. Yeah, okay, so a lot of people don't know that I'm a very, very good basketball player. Maybe I don't know if that will qualify as a fun fact.
I didn't know
but
that.
Yeah.
That's a good fact.
Yeah, I'm a very good one.
Are you sure?
Yes, probably know how to do that more than anything. Yeah, my key learning from the experience, I joined a bit late, but at some point, but it's really been very central to me how important it is for a need to appreciate, um, especially when you're working with communities, the need to appreciate their owning the process. Yeah, I think that is big for me. That as soon as change, change makers or people in the development space, we attempt to make any change in community, the key thing we must be looking at is how they own the process and not necessarily our stepping in the driver's seat. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll
I think
keep
this is quite a short. I think we only have 5 minutes. So, Josephine, should we bounce it to you as I'm curious to learn your fun facts and similar?
As you already know my name and organization, I'm the Administrative and Safeguarding Officer at
Wonderful.
RAIN. And my primary role, or basically, I handle complaints and involve staff for our communities to adhere to our disciplinary procedures. And again, I also perform general administrative duties, and I also go to the field to implement activities on the field. So that is basically my role at RAIN. And I'm a bit reserved. But then when you are close to me, you know I'm very lovely and tends to talk a lot when you're close to me. But from afar, you see I'm a bit reserved. I love listening to music. And for the people, what I've learned is teamwork, the active participation of participants. Although I would say we are all busy, but when topics are put on the plate for us to contribute, we find time to contribute to the topics that are being shared. We share ideas, we bring out our questions, the sequel, interesting. So that is what I would say.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think we need a complaints person in Eddie Spots. I like the sound of that. Someone to manage the difficult elements. I'm hoping you don't have too many complaints to handle, Josephine, as that sounds a challenging role. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we don't have much time, so I'm going to be super quick. So I'm Kat, short for Catherine. And I think my fun fact, I'm going to follow Prince on the sporting front. I used to play a lot of hockey at quite a serious level, and now don't play so much anymore. But yeah, I used to play for my county and university. You know, hockey with field hockey, not ice hockey, to be clear.
Okay.
And I have learned so much from this community of practice. And I think maybe the key takeaway is quite how much technical understanding there is behind climate education being really done in a meaningful and not tokenistic way in communities, and that there's so much incredible local knowledge in the group relating to anything from tree planting to indigenous species, or all the kind of different practices of how to kind of cement climate change education and meaningful community practices, I think, is a specialist area. And it's got us thinking a lot in Eddie Spots about whether we really have enough knowledge to support communities on this, or whether we need to be better at our partnerships. So yeah, that's my big takeaway. I think I'm going to end the breakout rooms, as I'm aware that Sarah, I think wanted this to be quite brief, but it's been great to meet you both.
Thank you for the time here.
Sure. I'd like to see you all.
Yeah.
Okay.
See you. Oh, bye-bye. A team in which we're the first back. Maybe we can share other fun facts that are lurking within us. So in basketball, Prince, are there different positions, or does everyone shift around?
Oh yeah, there are different positions.
I've
And
never really
usually the
played.
one who carries the ball a lot is a handler. I used to be a handler.
Josephine, do you play any sports?
It was football.
Yes, another great one.
Yeah.
But not now. I was not very active. Yes, football and volleyball. That was what I like to play, but
Should we do a C-Cup football match? Or basketball? Prince can be the handler. Josephine, our footballer. Sorry, Sarah. We're continuing our fun facts.
Yes,
I would love that.
Very interesting fun facts. Digital painting, video games. Unfortunately, I don't think Dixon will be able to join us. He did send a message that he was trying to reconnect, but I guess
he's
he
back.
couldn't. And I think now
he's back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Hello, Sarah.
Yes. Good morning, Dixon. You are with us.
Okay.
Do you have time to present?
Yes,
no
yes.
worries.
Kindly give me the hosting rights to be able to share my screen.
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay, let me do that right away.
Yes.
So sorry.
That's fine. So just to explain, Dixon is going to present now because he needs to rush off for another meeting. So we've slightly moved things around. Please go ahead.
I believe you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the project that we embarked on was localizing the plant content in the basic school curriculum in Ghana. And the objective was to teach basic school learners native tree species that are region specific and the significant roles that they play against climate change. And this project was necessitated by two key revelations. The first had to do with the revelation in the comprehensive report by BGCI. That report is titled Planning Conservation Action for Ghana's Threatened Tree Species. And one of the conservation actions was to engage in massive biodiversity education that focuses on children and their youth using indigenous knowledge, which according to the report was on the decline. And another thing we did was we also conducted an extensive review of the plant content in the basic school curriculum, and we found out that it was more generalized, it was Western dominated, and detached, as it were, from the lived experiences of the learners. And this extensive review of the curriculum was conducted by some curriculum experts and education researchers from KNUST and UCC, and two reps from NACA who were involved in developing the basic school curriculum. So, based on these two revelations, in early part of 2024, we received funding support from BGCI and Foundation Franklinia, and the objective was to design a pedagogical model that is rooted in indigenous knowledge for teaching these young lads about their native trees. So we conducted a pilot study in the Ashanti region of Ghana. I've put in a link to the extensive report that we published. I would also equally put it on our WhatsApp platform. So based on the pilot study we conducted in the Ashanti region of Ghana, we wanted to expand the implementation and the validation of the pedagogical model that we call the basic pedagogical model in 4 other regions of Ghana. And fortunately, Goa Street funded that project. So we expanded the implementation and the validation in Greater Accra, Western region, Eastern and Savannah regions. And the broad project goals first was to develop and promote an understanding among basic school learners on the unique roles that native tree species play, particularly against combating climate change, and also to equip them with requisite knowledge on region-specific native tree species, to imbibe in them sustainability consciousness skills and competencies, to incite them to engage in helpful projects that could potentially combat climate change. Now, this is the methodological framework that we resorted to. It was a convergent parallel mixed method design rooted in school community-based participatory research, and we dwelt the methodology solidly on the principle of transdisciplinarity, which brings on board academics and non-academics. So academic researchers who were indigenous knowledge experts, foresters from the Forestry Commission, educationists from KNUST and UCC, community leaders in the regions, elderly men and women who had rich knowledge in ethnobotany, parents of the students themselves, teachers, artists, ethnomusicologists, farmers, and personnel from the Forestry Commission. And we went through 4 main phases. The first phase was key stakeholder engagement to decide on the 4 specific native tree species per region, and then to develop the content to teach the students and also settle on the indigenous knowledge for the selected native tree species. And the second phase was more academic because we engaged in a comprehensive systematic review of the extant literature on the selected native tree species. And the third is the development of the models on the plant content for the native tree species education. So we combined the primary data we collected with the findings from our comprehensive systematic review. And then we developed environmental folk songs for each of the native tree species. So we had 20 environmental folk songs, and these were developed with assistance of the ethnomusicologists from the institutions that we partnered with. We also developed Ghanaian indigenous symbols, particularly the Adinkra symbols, and how the philosophical insights that they share in terms of conserving native trees. We also developed teaching models that could, they are just ready-made, as it were, that teachers can just tailor and use. So we prepared PowerPoint presentations for each of the native tree species. We also prepared lesson plans, activity-based worksheets that could accompany the teaching. So these were the 4 key phases we went through. This is a diagrammatic representation of the basic pedagogical model. So the overarching goal was to hone sustainability, consciousness skills, and competencies in native tree species among students. And it was based on Palmer's model for holistic teaching, which we felt agrees with the indigenous knowledge system that helps in giving holistic kind of education to students. And we combined our findings on native tree species with the content spelled out in the basic school curriculum. We also suggested teaching learning activities for teachers and the learners. And we also suggested assessment strategies, which were largely formative, but also summative in some respect. If you want to know more about this pedagogical model, I suggest you read the comprehensive report, which is published on the Botanic Gardens Conservation International website. Now, back to what we developed. Like I mentioned, we developed teaching models, lesson plans, art activities, environmental folk song, and we also developed plans to visit agroforestry sites. I mean, engaging in place-based education. And we conducted pre-test and post-test to just measure whether or not these sustainability consciousness skills and competences have been actually developed in the learners after the implementation phase of the project. And we also conducted a series of personal interviews, FGD sessions. We also observed teachers partnering with foresters and elderly ones in the societies, and even farmers in the classroom teaching the content. We analyze it thematically using InVivo12 software. Now, because of the 5 minutes, let me just jump to some of the consultations that we did. So you can see the meetings that we had with the foresters in each of the regions, together with the teachers and some elderly residents in the communities who had rich ethnobotanic knowledge related to the selected region-specific native tree species. And so these are some of the meetings we had. And these are some of the classroom implementations. And teachers did collaborative teaching. And the good thing is they taught students about the native trees in their own environment, unlike the Western-dominated exemplars in the curriculum. So it was more like a step in decolonizing the curriculum from the Western content and from the generalized perspective, making it be in touch with the lived experiences of the students. So some of the foresters came to the schools, partnered with the teachers and the farmers in delivering the content. And there were times that we even invited the officers, education officers from the district to come and have a look at how we were teaching the native tree species in the classroom. And there were times teachers
just
also
1 minute,
engage
please.
in quiz contests.
Sorry, Dixon, to interrupt. Just 1 minute,
Okay,
please,
so
if
you
you
can
could be
see some of
finishing
the
off.
symbols. All right. So you can see some of the symbols that students were exposed to actually tell out philosophical insights linked with the native trees and the roles that they play in combating climate change. So these are some of the field trips that we engage in. So still with the education conducted in the agroforestry science and nature walks, tree planting exercises, and these are some of the environmental folk songs. We have a collection of them. They are 20 in all for now, that we can also share with our partners to also use in their education work. So these are some of the illustrated proverbs. And I will share all these resources when we meet. I will do an extensive presentation in November when we meet in Tamale. So these are some of the eco art activities that the students were engaged in. I shared some of the pictures on our platform. So the artists that we engaged with worked alongside the students and the teachers, and they went through some of these eco art activities. We have a lot of data that we've gathered on the implementation, and we are going to share them with the team. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dixon. That's amazing. I'm loving all these different activities, the art and the songs and the proverbs, and I think that's just amazing. And I'm sure that the kids must really enjoy it. I don't know if does anyone have any questions? Just maybe a couple of brief questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
That was such an amazing presentation, Dixon, and I really hope that we can get hands-on with some of these activities.
Thank you.
I'm really hoping we can get hands-on and really see how these amazing activities take shape in Tamale. I'm really curious to learn more about, I can see that you've referenced lots of very Western educational theorists and philosophers. And I'm curious to know how you went about thinking about adapting Western ideas of education into the local context, like what you went through in that process as you decided how to, best roll out your educational strategy.
Thank you so much for this question, but I want to say that these theories, the whole essence of bringing them on board was just to validate indigenous knowledge. I've attended several conferences and I've realized that those who wear the Western lens think indigenous knowledge rests in the past, but I always want to use the academic work to elevate and to educate people that indigenous knowledge is alive. That was the reason why I was putting it in perspective using the theories. But I want to say that these theories already agree with the indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge was there before the theories were developed. So I was just using them to validate indigenous knowledge. Yes. It's not to say that I was just elevating it using indigenous knowledge. No, but validating indigenous knowledge in the lenses of the Western theories. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's so fascinating in terms of, with this session focusing on localization. I think it's, just really interesting. I'm sure we could discuss more. And thanks, Sarah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so last 2 weeks, I went for the nature-based education in Salzburg, and we worked this worksheets that we developed. We used it in collaborative, exercises, and it was really refreshing. And I'm going to share all that when we meet in Tamale. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That all sounds great. A lot to look forward to. Maybe, is there any other questions? Maybe one last question if anyone else has a question for Dr. Dixon. before we move on? I had a question about the whole idea of the native tree species in the fight against climate change, because I was just trying to understand. I mean, I know obviously native species are always better for the biodiversity and everything, but as climate change is something new, I mean, is it that somehow the native species are better at adapting to climate change, or do you see what I mean? Do you see what I'm asking? Why is it that the native species are so important in climate change? Because I was kind of thinking, well, aren't all the species suffering, if you like, from the changes? Hello, Dr. Dixon, are you there? Did you hear me? I think you may have dropped off. Dr. Dixon? Okay, I think he's dropped off. Okay, never mind. So let us continue. So just give me a second. I'll go back to my presentation. Oops. Just share my screen. Okay, so I just wanted to pick out a few things that we saw in the WhatsApp chat. I said they did some great insight. So there was a lot of response to the question about what localizing actually means. So I really enjoyed all these different viewpoints, from Prince, making things practical in our own context, from Khadija, climate action is homegrown, rooted in our knowledge, led by our people and sustained by our schools and communities. I love that phrase. And then from Raymond, helping ordinary people realize how extraordinary the threat we face is. And I thought that's just a very important thing to think about, that this is like like an unprecedented issue that we need to deal with. From Paulina, it's all about implementing targeted solutions. And again, the practical scenarios fitting into the communities. And then from Josephine, instead of using the same solution everywhere, letting everyone in each area lead the way using their own ideas. So again, it's not one size fits all, but this whole idea of localizing, going to the communities and finding out what's appropriate. And then Nimatu also bringing in something that's linked to what Dr. Dixon was just talking about, recognizing and integrating the value of local knowledge and traditional practices and indigenous expertise. And then we also had a bit of discussion about what are the challenges or the barriers. And this is all, so some of the ideas that came up here were really lack of awareness of the problem itself. What exactly is climate change? Well, how is it related to them? Mindsets and cultural factors, and then also things like limited resources and finance, weak local policy support, and so on. And in fact, in those chats, there were also, everybody also gave their solutions or ways to overcome those challenges, which was also very useful to see. So thank you to everyone for taking part in the WhatsApp discussions. It's always great to hear what everyone has to say. So I wanted to just put out a couple of questions for a quick discussion before we hear from our other partner and go into the breakout rooms. So I was just interested in people's viewpoints. When I started looking at this month's theme, the Africa Climate Summit was happening at the beginning of September. And I read about this summit with, I think it had apparently about 25,000 participants. And it talked about some of these huge projects like the Africa's Great Green Wall project, other things, which I hadn't actually heard about. They all kind of sounded quite impressive, but I was just interested in everyone's views. Do these large projects, are they useful? Do they work? Or are they just talking shops? Sometimes you see the photos, everyone in their smart suits and everything, big group photos. Do you think they're useful, or are they just talking shops? I'm just interested to hear people's viewpoints. So feel free to unmute and let us know what you think.
Can I speak to that?
Yes, please go ahead.
Madam Sarah, I think
Yes.
some of these gathering or opportunity for me, they are useful. The extent is that it gives one the opportunity to be exposed, get one opportunity to go and learn new things, listen to new things, hear new things, new ideas, present for the presentation to be commented and criticized, and so you learn. But my point that I always don't feel comfortable is the fact that we go for such programs, and then when we come back, we are not able to share what we've gone to learn and experience for others to know, for the community to know.
Okay.
We keep them until something comes up, and then we begin to share. But we don't make it a conscious effort to create a platform to share and communicate what I've gone to learn for it to be useful in the environment or the community in which we are, for it to be impactful. So then the question is, why did you go? Why did you attend?
Yes.
Why were you there? Were you there in your personal capacity to build self-capacity, or to go and learn, to come and share with others? And there are some people, when they go and learn new things, they feel that they have to keep it for them to be self-masters.
Right.
And then they don't want to share all, but they want to be self-masters. And until when would that self-masters tenderness would continue? Because we are living in an environment where we have to make some impact. When the time is due, we all leave and go. But we have to transfer to the community for it to be transitional, to the young ones to also live with it and grow with it. So sometimes that is the part that I don't feel comfortable when the opportunity comes and we attend programs like that.
Okay, thanks, Michael. That's really interesting. So you mean it's more like a mindset of, instead of people thinking I'm going there to learn and therefore impact my community or my country, it's more for your own knowledge or your own gain in a way. So it's having to change that way of thinking. Any other comments from anybody?
Yes, Sarah.
If you have, yes, please go ahead,
This is Prince. Yeah, so I just wanted to mention, climate change challenges cannot be localized. Somehow they will flow into, if we are talking about countries, if we are talking about regions. So by nature, even the complexity of the problems just require that people of different locations meet. And so even though I know that the challenge has been how we ought to offload what we learn in these meetings to where they are really needed, but the meetings are also extremely important. Even if locally you attempt to solve some of these challenges, something from just a neighbor can collapse your whole attempt at it. And sometimes just the mere magnitude of it almost makes people give up until they arrive in meetings like this and see and get a sense of hope that attempting such challenges is worth the attempt at all. So yeah, I think they are useful. These meetings are very important.
Okay, thank you, Prince. Thank you. So I did look up, after the second Africa Climate Summit was in Ethiopia in July, and there was they said the outcome was a declaration that was adopted with, they called for strengthen and sustain support to scale up the implementation of African-led climate initiatives. So I think, it's just my hope is that, yes, these things do trickle down and that everybody that went there goes with the right mindset, and then so we actually see the impact throughout the continent.
All right.
But
So
I was quite
can I have a go?
interested. So, sorry, yes.
Okay, so for me, I would start by saying that no matter what we do, I strongly believe that conferences are very important in this time and age, because conferences allow us to agree to disagree, holding people back from entering into serious conflicts. You can take the ACS as an example. That, I mean, with all the things that were discussed, they were not talked about in silos. They were, climate. It was on climate change, but climate change does not happen in vacuum. Development is as a result. Climate change is as a result of our linear form of development, which almost every economy is built on. So, in conversations like that, negotiations take place, people agree to disagree, and then they come up with the declarations of the commitments they want to make. But then, more importantly, anytime commitments and declarations like these are made, it almost seems as if there is a mismatch of the commitments with the fiscal budget, the fiscal commitment, the fiscal budget, just to say, because when the commitments are made, it's yes, I know that they are aware that it needs to come with some fiscal commitments, but these fiscal commitments are not in the control of those who are making those declarations. They ought to be sourced from external places, and the external places too are controlled by sovereign nations or sovereign people, and they may decide when to bring it. And in that delayance, it means that the declaration to be delayed. It's come up several times for the SDG reports, and the SDGs are ending in 2030. We are in 2025. The indicators show that we have not done so much to boost up anything. So the finance is not in the hands of one person. It's not in the hands of. It's in the hands of many people. And when that happens, we can only go at the pace of the provision of the monies and funds made available. So that's what I wanted to add to it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Safa. Thank you for that. For the sake of time, let me go on. Let me continue. Obviously, we can also continue this discussion in the WhatsApp group. So just another thing I was thinking about. Oh, sorry. Okay. Just this idea of the interlinkage, if you like, between climate change and peace and security. I think I was looking up, I was information about, localizing solutions, and I found this information by this group, GPPAC, Global Partnership for the Prevention of Armed Conflict. And at first I was a bit confused as to why climate was there, but as I read on, I actually saw where the linkages are. I was just interested again within this group. Is this something that you have had to? Sorry, my thing again. Okay, you have come across. Does it affect any of your communities? Have you seen how climate change is affecting peace and security in any of your communities? I'm just interested again to see the experiences in the room. I guess maybe that's a good thing if we're not being affected at the moment or our security is not being affected.
Maybe
so,
I'm happy to, just maybe thinking forward to the future of, how obviously, like with climate change, with weather temperatures making places less conducive to live in, with more severe, what's the word, freak weather incidents of different kinds, there will be significant global migration with sea level changing. And I think for those, the international context on migration at the moment is very sensitive in the UK, and I think some of you might have seen the horrendous. Sorry, I shouldn't give a. So there was a march in the UK last 2 weekends ago called Unite the Kingdom, where 150,000 people took to the streets in the UK to protest against migration. When I think the UK has always been a very me growing up, I was always, really embraced the idea of the UK being a multicultural society. And I think lots of you will be aware of the tensions around migration and immigration in Europe, whether it's, at the moment it's often related to economic insecurities of different kinds and also of war. But you can see that climate change will be a key cause of movement in the future. So just thinking about this question sort of moving forwards, how it's changing people's even perception, I think, of what it means to be British when there's even more sort of diverse groups of people coming into the country, and a lot of debate about this in the UK that is leading to a real sense of being on the edge of violence at times, with the police having to, I think there were a lot of, injuries of different kinds. It didn't quite get to a point of proper civil unrest, but some people feel it's getting close. Sorry, I'll stop there, but to give a sense of where we could be heading.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Kat. I actually have, okay. Oh, well, this is a quote from a report. It's estimated that West African countries will have up to 32 million internal climate migrants by 2050 if climate and development actions are not taken. That was from the Climate Reality Project. So yes, this is the kind of thing that needs to be taken into account. And one of an example from that report is, this is based in Zimbabwe, but I'm sure obviously it sounds very similar to things that can happen in Ghana. Changes in weather conditions due to climate change make farming and cattle raising less viable, causing some people to be more desperate for ways to survive and pushing them towards illegal and environmentally unfriendly mining activities on arable farming land and cattle pastures. So we all know that's happening. When farmers confront the miners, violence or farm or cattle abandonment happens, which leads to violent and fatal clashes between law enforcement agents and armed miners. And then in the aftermath, soil quality falls due to toxic chemicals used during mining and leftover pits, which are hazardous to livestock and local people. So just something else, I guess, that needs to be put into the mix when we're thinking about climate change, and also just bringing home the idea that it, as other people have said, it affects everything. It affects everything, it affects everybody. And that's why we all need to be involved, and why, going back to last month, why it needs to be throughout the whole curriculum as well for our young people, not just in science. Oh, great. Okay, so let's continue with our partner spotlight. So we have heard from Dr. Dixon of RANAG. So now we also want to hear from Safo Dankwa of SIN, Strategic Youth Network for Development. Safo, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here, still on the call.
Great, thank you. So if you'd like to go ahead. Do you have a presentation that you want to present?
Yes, I do have a presentation. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So I'll go right on into my presentation. And it's going to focus on localizing climate solutions through school projects. And I think this being my second time presenting in our monthly sessions. I'm a youth adaptation consultant, also, but also a sustainability educator for Children for Climate Action Project and the project lead. So our focus has always been on how to create creative spaces for children to create climate solutions which will be of benefit for their schools. So I'll move on to the next slide. We've engaged quite a number of schools, but for the purpose of this conversation and presentation, I would just want to focus on two. So my first would be Seeds After the Order of Christ Academy. And this school has been it's one of the recent schools that we engaged in, and we brought value to what they were already doing. All right. So the first time I went to their school, these were some of the, especially the left-hand side. For the polytank, they had prints of SDGs on the polytank. The other prints you see over there are actionable points for children to take care of the biodiversity around them. Pangolin, fun facts about pangolins and fun facts about other endangered species, which I thought was quite interesting. I had already seen that they had gardens and gardens and pots, trees all around, which were quite interesting. But what we came up with in adding value to them was when we hosted the recently ended Africa Youth Conference on Natural Resources and Environmental Governance, which they decided to use student agency to work on some solutions. So the invitation was for them to come and perform at the African Youth Conference on Natural Resources and Environmental Governance, which is a mouthful, but I will just keep it to AYC for short. So what they decided to do was to work on a project called Project Green Africa. They identify the problems, identify the effects, and suggested solutions. So we can see that for the problems, they've identified deforestation, illegal mining, corruption, irresponsibility because of the irresponsibility of responsible ones. That is a type over the superficial education, inadequate real life experiences, inadequate engagement, and equipping the youth. So just to move straight to the solutions, because that's where the focus is on. Firm green policies, enforce laws, protect the future, provide more support to youth and schools, research and investment in green economy, encourage and promote green attitudes and mindsets, and our reaction to a situation has the power to change the situation itself. So these are educational forms that by student agency we've been able to use to mobilize the kids in the schools and also to raise their awareness on climate action and climate solutions, which they started doing in their schools. Unfortunately, I cannot play the video because of time, but we'll talk about AYC very soon. These are some of the other highlights of posters they have in their school. So before anybody enters or leaves the school, this is the school gate, which is the blue background. There are solutions for kids to always be seen, and as the adage goes, out of sight, out of mind. So when anything is in sight, it is in mind. So that is what they've done also. And the first time I visited their school, they did not have what we can see on our left, which is the segregation receptacle. So after a few engagements, we spoke about plastic segregation. We spoke extensively on circular economy. So on 9th September, which was a Tuesday, when I got to the school, there's the front of the school. They had this receptacle, which they've, should I say, improvised from mosquito nets, use mosquito net to collect all plastic bottles. And it's put in front of the school, which I think is very, very smart to do, so that it's going to also affect anyone who is passing by in front of the school in the community. So not just for the school kids to practice segregation of waste, but also to inform passers by to also put their plastic bottles in the school's receptacle, and it's a way to also give information to passers-by. Also, these are some of on my right hand side is World Water Day. So they are providing climate solutions to their own peers and to their communities as well, using very, very minimal resources. And I've always said on several platforms that if they are using minimal resources, can you imagine what they would do with enough adequate or maximum resources. That means that they would take a lot, many steps to achieving whatever they've already started to do as they are stewarding environmental resources that are available to them. So once again, I just wanted to give a very clear photo of what they've done as a climate solution, segregating their waste, not burning them, but segregating their plastics. So this is just a preview, just a snapshot of what they did at AYC. So we held AYC, we threw an invitation to them. They did not come and just talk about climate change. They performed through spoken words, through storytelling, but they also choreographed a dance to also communicate how they understand climate change. So they are the ones at the stage, and the audience were looking on, and were really, really, should I say, pleased with their performance. So the second school will be High Schools Limited, which I have also focused on as a case study in my previous presentation on this in this group. So for High Speed Schools Limited, they've been really concerned about climate innovations, especially tech. So what you see over here is something that was developed in collaboration with the kids and an engineer, which we facilitated. So after giving awareness and education on climate action, climate change, we spoke extensively about solar. We facilitated plastic recovery challenges to give the kids that kind of creative spaces to develop anything from plastics, however they want to retrofit whatever they have. So in the first instance, 2 years ago, some of them created helicopters which actually flew with motors in them. And this is a testament that of the little things that they have to create something that can sustain power supply in their classroom. So what we have here is a system that can power a classroom that needs any light. So you can see any that is in electricity. So for where the cursor is, you can see that there's a solar input here. So the only thing missing here is a solar panel. There's an inverter. There is a switch for on and off. There is a motor that runs to ensure that the energy is converted from potential to kinetic energy into electric energy. There's a battery over there. So the whole idea is not just to stay at the awareness part, but to move to action. And in the action, we are looking at how we can incorporate STEM as well.
Safo,
Okay.
are you able to wrap up in about 1 minute? Sorry, this is very fascinating, but just for the time.
Sure. I'll take less than a minute. And the last will be one of the kids using plastic bottles to create a Christmas tree for one of the climate festivals we had. So on that note, I'll end here. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. As particularly as I'm in the EcoSTEM strand, I'm obviously very interested in seeing the the electronics there that the students got up to. Any one brief question for Safo before we continue, as time is getting on? I'll be sharing my screen as we're doing Okay. I was just
I have a
interested.
question.
Oh, okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is that Mr. Savo, some of what you've presented is fantastic, and you are doing so well with the schools and the children, and so it's giving them that level of exposure and experience. I also want to find out how are you, in what form do you share these activities to other schools where you might not be able to go because of funding? In what form can you share some of these activities or some of these experiences with the other schools who may not get the opportunity for your interventions.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Michael. So one of the forms that we've really used has been social media and also journaling our activities through videos. So when we post it on social media, we are aware that people are able to reach out a bit easy because now, because of the ubiquity of phones and the internet, people are still able to access a lot of information via the internet. I'll give you an example, which does not put Children for Climate Action in context, but it was from the first school that I mentioned, Seeds After the Order of Christ Academy. So a partner of ours said that the first time she entered the school, when she saw the fun facts about pangolins and endangered species, she was shocked that it was from her organization, Arosha. So she asked that how did they get all these things? And they told her that it was on the internet, so they just downloaded it and then used it for awareness in their school. Seeds After the Order of Christ Academy is in Accra, but it's in one of the farthest areas in Accra. So being able to access that without even speaking to Arosha is what was just good. So we use videos, we use the power of social media. As long as we put it there, we know that one way or the other it will reach other people. We are also very easy on partnership. If we want to show our videos, I mean, it's just perfect for us. Yes.
I'm looking at possibly with Ghana Library, where I can speak to the executive director. We create corners for some of these things. So if it's a video, we have computers. If it's some posters, then we can commit to get them printed on flexis, and we create corners at the various libraries for it to be available for students who go there to also have a look at. I mean, something that library can come into to also assist.
Okay, that's compatible and doable. Yes.
Yes, that's a great idea. And maybe in the WhatsApp later, we can talk about EduSpot's recent memorandum of understanding with the Ghana Library Association. So maybe that's something we can all work together on. But for time, thank you very much to both our partners. Let's continue. So we wanted to, as usual, go into our breakout rooms for more discussion. So, excuse me, I've got rid of a croaky throat. Can everyone see the screen with the three topics for the breakout rooms?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So we have three topics, partnerships. So, and again, this has already come up in some of the talks. What partnerships have you found to be most effective in building your local climate solution? So some people have mentioned other NGOs or government institutions and so on. And we'd really like to hear, your examples and the lessons learned, the do's and don'ts. Maybe you tried a partnership with one particular organization and it didn't quite work out. Why was that? Did you need a different approach? Is it different organizations for different types of projects and so on? So that's the room one. In another one, we want to talk about sustainability and ownership. So how can you make sure that these projects are sustained long term? We don't have this project drop off. In EduSpots, we have in-person conferences and training, and we always find that after those in-person conferences, our catalysts are very excited and very committed and very active. And then often there's a bit of a drop-off point after what we call the honeymoon period. So this is something that we know can be happen quite a lot. So again, what lessons do you have there? How do you ensure this long-term sustainability. And then the third topic is about scaling up. So we've heard about all these wonderful projects, but how can we scale those up? You know, if they're very local, they're particular to a particular area, is there a way that they can still be scaled up to benefit more communities? You know, and even can those projects even feed into national climate policies? So those are the three topics we want to talk about. Kat, can I rely on you again for the breakout rooms?
Yeah, they're all open, and I've put the questions in the chat just so everybody has them there if they need them. I'll send them by broadcast as well. Okay, so just in each room, if you can nominate somebody who's going to kind of take the notes and then share the information afterwards. I mean, we'll try and share just right at the end of this session, but also they'll be shared in the reflection documents. It's going to be quite a quick one, isn't it? It's going to, because
Yes, probably about 10 minutes, I would think. So could we have literally like a 1 minute summary from each group? But then, as I said, if I could ask that, you know, in each group, someone just makes some brief notes, and you can either share them on the WhatsApp group, or you can put them directly into the reflection document. But is somebody ready to give a quick?
Staff is ready for us, but we're group 3.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I'm ready.
Fine. Whoever's ready. So 1 minute, 1 minute.
All right, that's fine. So, in summary, what my team spoke about, I was in the same room with Kat and then Dr. Michael. So we workshopped the idea of the climate corners, which was very fantastic as we were really unpacking what it contains. So Dr. Michael is the board chairman of the Ghana Library Authority, and in workshopping that idea, that meant that he has the leverage to push for climate corners to be set up in the Ghana Library, in Ghana libraries. He made us understand that there are regional libraries, are district libraries, so whatever happens at the top now cascades to the other, to those at the downlines. And Kat made a very, very important suggestion, mentioning that EduSports, there are about 50 EduSports also. So in collaboration with that, we are able to even mainstream everything, and then it's going to reach out to a lot more young people, children. And innovatively, when we also bring in a monthly challenge where kids can also develop their own things, it can now create that creative spaces for children to see tangible solutions that are able to mitigate and reduce the effect of climate change. So in a minute, I think that's what I can talk about, and we will continue to speak more about this. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. I think you did even keep to a minute. Amazing. So group 2, the sustainability, long-term ownership. 1 minute, 1 minute.
So how we think we can build long-term ownership and avoid project drop-off include, it should be community-led design. Every project should be community-led design. So we'll do this by actively involving community members in identifying and solving some of their problems using indigenous knowledge. We also suggest that we should build the capacity of community members on things they don't have knowledge on. We have also suggested constructing keyhole gardens using local materials such as stones and cow dung. We also suggested leveraging on indigenous resources in solving some of the problems. We have also suggested that we need to sensitize community on the importance of taking ownership of projects, since we are not going to be in the community forever. The last one is sensitizing community members on the importance of holding community of practice sessions where knowledge and experiences can be shared among themselves. They can also cascade this knowledge through community of practice session to the next generation to ensure sustainability of the project. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you. And then from our group, Josephine or Angela, would you like to very quickly mention what we were talking about? Or shall I do a quick summary for time? I'm also going to open up my the last screen. So we were talking about partnerships and the main, sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once and failing. And Jasmine and Angela spoke about their partnerships they've had mainly with the traditional leaders, and basically saying if they go to the traditional leaders first and get consent from them for what they want to do, then they find there's normally a very positive response from the community. Also, sometimes going through the district education authorities, and then depending on what project it is, it might also be dealing with like certain organisations within the cocoa board or forestry division, and so on. So, for time, I think can everyone see my screen? Just to wrap up. So first of all, thank you everybody for joining us today. It's always fascinating to hear these insights from so many different people and all your different experiences. I will share the reflection document that will have the information on the September theme. Our next online session will be, so it's again the last Thursday in October, that's the 30th of October. So if you can put your reflections into the document before that, maybe about up to a week before. And as we've already been talking, we are hopefully all going to meet 24th of November in Tamale. Looking forward to that very much. And so next month's theme is about monitoring learning and systems change for climate education. Looking forward to that one. So it's 11:35. So I'd again just like to say thank you to everybody for joining, and I'll continue the conversation in the WhatsApp group, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Sarah, for hosting a brilliant session. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for all the contributions.
Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Bye. Good, I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Bye.